Trust is one of the rarest and most valuable assets in life. It's something that can't be bought, can't be stolen, and can't be faked for very long. It is built slowly, often over years, but it can be destroyed in a moment with a single lie. When I say that truth builds long-term trust, I mean that the only foundation strong enough to sustain deep relationships, meaningful businesses, or even peace within yourself is honesty. Anything else is a structure built on sand. It may look sturdy for a while, but eventually it collapses under its own weight. The world rewards people who can be trusted. Think about it. The best opportunities are never posted on job boards or announced publicly. They are whispered from one trusted person to another. Investments, partnerships, friendships, these all flow through networks of trust. If people know that your words are consistent with reality, they will come to you again and again. They won't waste time verifying everything you say. They won't demand endless guarantees or legal protections because your integrity is already your contract. In that way, truth compounds. One honest interaction becomes 10. 10 become 100. Over time, your reputation becomes a magnet for opportunities. Lies, on the other hand, might bring temporary gains. You can exaggerate your achievements to impress someone. You can promise more than you can deliver to close a deal. You can say what people want to hear to avoid conflict, and for a moment it might work. But lies come with an invisible interest rate. You have to keep track of what you said, to whom, and when. You carry the mental burden of maintaining illusions, and eventually reality will catch up. When it does, the trust you lose is not just equal to the lie. It's often far greater. Because once people know you've lied, they start to question everything you've ever said, even the parts that were true. It's easy to underestimate how much of life runs on trust. We think money is the currency of the world, but money itself is built on trust. A piece of paper has value because we collectively believe it does. A brand name carries weight because customers trust its promises. Even governments and institutions survive only because people trust them enough not to collapse into chaos. Trust is the hidden infrastructure that holds society together. When you tell the truth consistently, you're not just doing the right thing. You're building invisible bridges that will carry you farther than you can imagine. In personal relationships, truth is the ultimate signal of respect. When you tell someone the truth, even if it's uncomfortable, you're saying, "I value you enough not to deceive you." It's tempting to lie to protect feelings or avoid conflict, but what you really protect in the long run is the bond itself. A friend who always tells you the truth, even when it's hard to hear, is a friend you can rely on. A partner who never hides their thoughts, even when vulnerable, creates intimacy instead of suspicion. A leader who tells their team the reality, even when uncertain, inspires confidence because people know they're not being manipulated. Truth also simplifies life. When you're honest, you don't have to maintain multiple versions of yourself. You don't have to remember what story you told to which person. You don't have to live in fear of being exposed. You can move freely, speak freely, act freely, because your inside world matches your outside world. That alignment creates a sense of peace and clarity that no short-term gain from lying can ever replace. It's like carrying less baggage through life, lighter, faster, freer. Building trust through truth requires patience. It doesn't yield instant results. In a culture obsessed with speed and appearances, honesty can feel slow. You may lose opportunities to people who exaggerate or deceive, but over time, you'll notice something. The liars burn out. Their empires crumble. Their reputations collapse. Meanwhile, those who played the long game, those who told the truth even when it hurt, end up with lasting relationships, enduring respect, and opportunities that only grow with time. Truth is a kind of leverage. Most people underestimate how rare it is. If you're known as someone who never lies, who never exaggerates, who never makes promises they won't keep, then your words alone carry extraordinary weight. You won't need to shout to be heard. You won't need to prove yourself over and over. A simple statement from you will move people to act because they trust it as reality itself, That's real power. So, truth is not just a moral choice, it's a practical one. It builds the kind of long-term trust that cannot be bought or manufactured. It allows you to move through the world without fear, to attract people who value authenticity, and to build relationships and opportunities that stand the test of time. Lies may get you through the day, but truth will get you through a lifetime, and if you're playing the long game, and life is nothing if not long, then truth is the only strategy that never fails. Falsehood is not just something that lives outside of us. It seeps inside and poisons the mind. When we lie, when we twist reality, when we present ourselves as something other than what we are, we don't just deceive others, we fragment ourselves. Every falsehood creates a gap between who we are and who we pretend to be. That gap is a form of inner pollution. It clouds our thoughts, it drains our energy, and it keeps us from experiencing peace. We tend to think of lies as external, as tools we use to manipulate the world, but in truth, they become toxins that we have to carry within ourselves. When you tell a lie, you create an alternate version of reality, and now you must live in both worlds, the real one and the false one. That requires constant upkeep. You have to remember what you said. You have to reinforce the illusion. You have to protect it from being exposed. This mental juggling act is exhausting. It creates stress and anxiety because your mind is always working to keep the falsehood alive. Lies are like open browser tabs in your head, always running, always consuming energy, slowing you down. And just like with too many tabs open, eventually the system crashes. Falsehood also blocks self-awareness. When you lie to others, it becomes easier to lie to yourself. You convince yourself that you're better than you are, that you're happier than you feel, that you're further along in life than you've really come. But self-deception is the most dangerous form of pollution because it distorts your ability to make good decisions. If you don't see reality clearly, you can't act effectively. Imagine a pilot lying to themselves about how much fuel is left in the tank. It might feel comforting in the short run, but it's a guarantee of disaster in the long run. The same is true in life. Comfort in illusions always leads to pain when reality asserts itself. Mental pollution doesn't just live inside the liar, it spreads to the people around them. Lies create distrust. When someone realizes you've lied even once, it plants a seed of doubt. They start questioning everything you say. That doubt is contagious. It doesn't just affect how they see you, it affects how they see the world. In that way, falsehood spreads like smoke in the air, clouding not just your mind, but the minds of everyone who breathes it in. A society full of lies becomes a society full of confusion, cynicism, and paranoia. Truth, on the other hand, is like clean air. It allows everyone to breathe freely. Another hidden cost of falsehood is that it robs you of simplicity. A life built on lies is complicated. You're constantly editing your words, hiding your mistakes, avoiding situations where you might be exposed. It's like living in a maze of your own making, but honesty clears the maze. It makes life straightforward. You can show up as you are, speak as you think, act without fear. The simplicity of truth is freedom. The complexity of falsehood is prison. And many people, without realizing it, are building their own mental prisons brick by brick, lie by lie. The deepest pollution, though, is internal dissonance. The human mind longs for alignment, for your inner world to match your outer world. When you lie, you break that alignment. You become two people, the one inside and the one outside. This division creates constant tension. You can't relax fully because part of you knows you're being false. That tension shows up as stress, anxiety, guilt, even physical illness. You carry it in your body, in your sleep, in your mood. No amount of external success can remove that weight because it comes from within. In contrast, truth cleans the mind when you stop lying to others and especially to yourself. You stop carrying unnecessary weight. You no longer have to perform, to maintain illusions, to guard yourself from being found out. Your energy, your creativity, your attention, they are freed. You become lighter. You move through the world with clarity instead of confusion. Truth doesn't just make you moral, it makes you efficient. It removes the background noise of dishonesty and gives you back the full capacity of your mind. It's worth noticing that the world is indifferent to what you say. Reality doesn't change because you lied about it. Gravity doesn't stop working because you denied it exists. Your bank account doesn't grow because you claimed to be rich. The truth remains whether you acknowledge it or not. Falsehood only pollutes your perception of reality, not reality itself. And when your perception is polluted, you suffer. You make poor choices, you chase illusions, you lose your way. But when your perception is clean, when your mind is free of falsehood, you can see things as they are. And seeing things as they are is the first step toward mastery. Falsehood is mental pollution because it clouds, weighs down, and divides the mind. It is poison disguised as protection. It promises you safety from discomfort, but it delivers only long-term suffering. Truth, even when it hurts in the moment, is always cleaner. It clears the air, it clears your mind, it restores your inner alignment. To live honestly is to live lightly, freely, and clearly. To lie is to live burdened, confused, and chained to illusions. If you care about your peace, your clarity, and your ability to live fully, then treat every falsehood as a toxin. Don't let it into your system. Keep your inner world clean. Reality is not something we can bargain with. It doesn't bend itself to our stories, our illusions, or our desires. It simply is. Those who see it clearly, without distortion, without wishful thinking, without denial, are the ones who thrive. The world belongs to those who align themselves with reality, because reality always has the final word. You can ignore it, you can resist it, you can try to decorate it with false narratives, but in the end, reality wins. And the sooner you learn to see it as it is, the sooner you gain access to its rewards. Most people walk through life half blind. They don't see reality, they see their own projections. They see what they want to see, what they fear to see, what society tells them to see. They live in layers of interpretation instead of direct perception. That blindness costs them. It costs them in poor decisions, broken relationships, failed businesses, and wasted years. If you can strip away the illusions and see the world as it actually is, whether it's your finances, your health, your work, or your relationship, you immediately gain an advantage that few people ever reach. Clarity itself is a form of wealth. Take business as an example. Reality in business is simple. You create something people want, and you deliver it in a way that's better or cheaper than the alternatives. That's it. Yet most entrepreneurs cloud their vision with stories. They fall in love with their ideas, they chase vanity metrics, they lie to themselves about demand, they ignore feedback from the market. They resist reality, and reality punishes them with failure. The few who succeed are the ones who look at the numbers, who listen to the market, who admit when something isn't working, who don't let ego get in the way of truth. They adapt, they pivot, they align themselves with reality, and reality rewards them with growth. It's the same with health. The reality is that your body reflects how you treat it. You can deny this truth, you can tell yourself that bad habits won't catch up with you, you can chase shortcuts and miracle cures, but reality doesn't care about your stories, it responds only to your actions. Eat poorly, sleep little, avoid movement, and your body will degrade. Respect your body, nourish it, move it, and it will serve you. People often complicate this with fads, excuses, or denial, but the fundamental reality never changes. And those who see it clearly, who align their daily choices with it, are rewarded with energy, longevity, and strength. Even in relationships, reality is always present. You can't build a lasting bond on illusions. If you pretend to be someone you're not, if you hide your flaws, if you ignore problems rather than facing them, eventually reality breaks through, the cracks show, trust erodes, love withers. But when you're honest about who you are, when you acknowledge issues instead of burying them, when you choose truth over pretense, the relationship becomes stronger. It may hurt in the moment to admit your faults or confront conflict, But in the long run, reality rewards you with depth, intimacy, and stability. The greatest obstacle to seeing reality clearly is ego. Ego is the filter that distorts the world. It makes us believe we're smarter than we are, further ahead than we are, more deserving than we are. Ego convinces us to ignore evidence that contradicts our self-image. But reality is indifferent to ego. It doesn't care how important you think you are. It only responds to what is. The person who can set aside ego, who can look at reality without taking it personally, who can accept feedback, criticism, and facts without flinching, that person holds a tremendous advantage because they're not fighting the truth, they're working with it. There's also a deep peace that comes from seeing reality clearly. Illusions create constant tension. If you live in denial, you always fear being exposed. If you build on lies, you always fear collapse. But when you face reality directly, there's nothing left to fear. You know where you stand. You may not like it, but you can deal with it. And once you can deal with it, you can improve it. Clarity is not just a tool for success. It is a foundation for inner calm. The irony is that people often resist reality because they think it will hurt more. They think facing the truth about their finances, their relationships, their health, or their failures will be unbearable. But the opposite is true. Denial prolongs suffering. Truth sets you free. When you finally look at things as they are, the pain is sharp but clean. You accept it, and then you move forward. Reality gives you a map. Without it, you're lost, wandering in illusions, never making real progress. Reality rewards those who see clearly because they're the only ones making decisions based on what actually exists. Everyone else is making decisions based on fantasies. And decisions built on fantasies lead to disappointment, while decisions built on truth lead to progress. The person who sees clearly doesn't need luck. They create their own luck by working with the grain of reality instead of against it. Life is a long game, and clarity is the ultimate long-term strategy. In the end, reality is the ultimate judge. It doesn't listen to excuses. It doesn't care about appearances. It doesn't play favorites. But it rewards alignment. See clearly, act accordingly, and reality becomes your ally instead of your enemy. That is the difference between struggle and flow, between failure and growth, between a life wasted in illusions and a life built on truth.